Alright, so this is a video that I'm going to make showing how to create organic shapes or objects in Crocotile 3D. It's basically requested to show my workflow. So basically I'm going to select a portion of my texture or tile set here, and go to the painting tab, and I could either use RGB sliders or HSL. Usually I just use RGB. I'm not sure what I want to create right now. I'm thinking something organic, maybe like a tree or something like that, but it might be more interesting to kind of try and create some sort of object or model or whatever. So maybe we'll create some sort of tree that's alive or something. I don't know. So I have, that was the tile set tab. I guess I'll zoom in on the painting tab, and I'll use my tablet to start drawing some stuff. Okay, so hold Control spacebar to kind of move the canvas around, and I guess I'll select a tile that I want to draw inside of. Since it is going to be a tree, I guess I'll choose something, a color more appropriate for that. So I have 3x3 tiles selected here. That's just to prevent me from drawing outside of that area. And also to kind of see where the tile edges are. So select those, and then I'll kind of draw some tree texture, I guess. And the main use of this painting window with the paint tools is basically so that you can kind of plan out your texture while you're building your scene or model or whatever, because then it'll kind of be easier to design stuff if you have the texture kind of incorporated into your decision making while you're placing the geometry. Okay, so I have that made. It's trying to think and talk at the same time. It's kind of difficult. Okay, so we have a scene and we're in edit mode. We could switch to draw mode, and right now I have multiple tiles selected, so I just want to select one, and I don't know what this tile will be, what part of the model it'll be. I'm kind of just doing stuff without thinking about it too much. Let's see. I guess I want the tree to have some legs. Wonder if I should start on the legs first. Select things and move it down to the origin point in 3D space where x, y, and z equals 0. The white lines represent the 3D crosshair that you can kind of position and have things like rotate around that point where the lines cross. So yeah. Just trying to think how I want to design this, because there's so many ways you can do it. You could create something. If it becomes too complicated, I might just turn it into a regular tree if it's taking too long. Anyways, okay. You see how like the triangulation of each tile is a certain way. You could select one tile and which key is it? I think hold Shift and F. Let's see. Yep. It changes the triangulation of the tile basically. So if it'll bend a different way. So if it's that way, looks like that. If you change it, looks like that. Okay. If you have these arrows showing, you could drag your selection by clicking the arrow and dragging. Or you could just click and drag one vertex and it moves as well. If you hold Shift down, it kind of snaps to other vertices. Okay, so also I guess the grid rounding is set to 8. So what that does is what does that do? Oh, okay. I guess it moves 8 pixels. So the tiles are 16 by 16 pixels, as you can see here, the UV tile size. And that basically means there's 16 pixels by 16 pixels within 1 by 1 square unit in 3D space. And so changing the grid spacing will change how many pixels you move stuff. So you can make it smaller to get more refined positions, or finer positions, I guess. And that will help allow you to make more organic shapes. So if we wanted to select these, unselect those, and we wanted to move it over to the side, but we don't want to move it that far, we could lower the grid spacing or grid rounding and adjust it like that. Also, you notice when I do that, it kind of squishes the texture a little bit because the UV texture is still mapped to show the whole tile, even though you made the tile kind of slightly smaller. So if that's a problem for you, you could kind of adjust the UVs for specific tiles. If you're in the tile set tab, you could click the tiles that you want to adjust the UVs on, and they'll get selected here. So let's just select that one, and then UV precision here shows you how many pixels it'll move when you try and move a UV coordinate. Similar to the grid rounding, but it's for the UVs on the texture. So if it's 1, 1, each UV can be moved pixel by pixel. If it's 4, 4, then it'll move by 4 pixels. So you kind of control that, make it easier to kind of line things up. So now you see it looks more the correct size, I guess. Although these two, as you can see, these are also kind of warped a little bit. So you kind of adjust those as well to line them up like that. And now you see all the pixels kind of flow into the next tile, how they're supposed to. And the size of each pixel kind of looks more uniform. So when you're modeling stuff, that's something you could think about, how you might organize your UVs or your texture, and how to wrap the texture onto the tiles and things like that. So what's next? I guess we could kind of do a side of whatever this is going to be, a tree or a leg. I'll probably just make it a tree, since this is kind of taking a while to explain everything and walk through various steps. So it's probably not the most interesting video. Yeah. Okay, let's select this and go into the painting mode. Let's make this different shade. Let's try that. And actually, let's make it a little brighter. And let's see if I can. Let's just put more texture, I guess, there, since this is just for demonstration. Okay, so if we want to line this up with those vertices, I'm kind of positioning this 3D crosshair to kind of line up with the edge, so then I know it's kind of positioned. In the correct space. So then I guess kind of just select all of these, and since the crosshair is right there, we can kind of rotate it. could select these and move them around. Looks alright, I guess. Could select these down here and kind of no, why is it doing that? Oh, and if you select, you can just click on a vertex, the crosshair kind of goes to it, so that you don't have to like move it around so much. If you hold shift, you can kind of move it without moving the vertices. So I'm just kind of positioning things and just kind of rotating the camera, looking at it from different angles, seeing the shape of it, how it looks. You know, this pretty straight vertically, so we can kind of adjust that to make it less straight. So and also I guess I'll change that so that triangulation sticks out more from this angle. If it was the other way, it kind of goes in, but I'll have it look like that. How do I want to shape this? That's kind of cool, I guess. So basically, as you can tell from each angle, it looks like it's kind of flowing, bending different ways. Also, actually, I'll wait before I show that. I was thinking of maybe like splitting some tiles in half, showing you how to another way to edit the geometry. So if I want I don't know how this is gonna look, but we could try it. So we select it, and then when we hit enter, that puts us in a splitting mood or mode. Okay. Since I don't really have a reason for doing this, I'm just doing it to show you. There's kind of, I'm not sure how to do it or what would be the best way to do it. I guess actually I don't want to do it right now because there's no point in doing it. But I guess I'll show you just so that you know. Okay, you right click and then go to faces and then split it. Now split it into two tiles, so then you can kind of you know, adjust them as if they're two tiles. You hit enter to exit the splitting mode. So now as you can see, the UVs kind of got split as well, so that might be good if you wanted to create a tile, then split it without having to kind of create another tile and adjust UVs. Thing is, you can't combine tiles together. You have to undo it if you want to undo the changes. Maybe in the future I could kind of add the ability to kind of combine the tiles together if the UVs match. It's kind of tricky if the UVs don't match, because then either the UVs would have to get adjusted, or well, yeah, I guess the UVs would have to get readjusted, and that might make things look weird if you combine tiles. Okay, so we did that. I don't know why. I could adjust the UVs on these even more if I want to kind of do that. So it's kind of there's like an opening or a hole there, and then maybe why? Might be because I have the arrows showing. Yeah, the arrow thing is kind of, I don't know, it's a little weird at the moment. Might be some issue with it or something with the vertices and the arrows. But it's just there in case someone likes using arrows to move things around, or what do you call it, like a gizmo type of thing. I don't really use the gizmos that much though. I find it quicker just to use the keys, but I'm kind of working on a new system for customizing the keys, and that'll allow me to expand this tool in different ways. So we have that. I don't know why we did that. Oh, and I guess this is, if you really want all your vertices to be like connected, these obviously are on an edge of another tile, so you might want to split this tile as well. So I'll just do that since it's something to do, I guess. And then let's select this one, and because I don't know if we need an extra vertex there. We could just kind of move these down, I guess, and then click and drag and hold shift, and it should snap to the other one. And now it looks like it's just one tile, I guess, but it's not, it has extra geometry. And I want to change the triangulation on this one. Oops, I actually flipped it. Or reversed it. You can flip it as well. But I think that's if you have the vertices selected, I think. Oh yeah. Okay, so I flipped the triangle, I guess. Okay, now what? Oh yeah, I guess I'll have like a branch come out this way. It's kind of flat over here. maybe I'll flip that triangulation. Let's see how it looks. Just gotta play with it, see what looks good. It's kind of cool, like being able to just paint on here and see how it looks. Yeah, it's looking more like a tree now. Okay, so I added those extra tiles there because I want to use them to create the tree branch. Let's see where those are. Okay. Let's see, how should we do this? Oh yeah, you can kind of rotate the tile and kind of flip it. You can mirror it, flip it, just for like more control over quickly adjusting the UVs, I guess. Yeah. So where do we want this? I guess I can just place it there for now. And then just drag it and position it, because we're just got to get something there, you know, to kind of connect with other things. So it doesn't really matter too much how the UVs are. You can change those. Okay, so we have that. Now we can just drag them. So where was the other one? I think it was was there. And this one was there. So as you can see, now those pixels there line up. See, in the UVs, the edges are together, and the bottom one as well. Wait, no, the bottom one isn't quite matched up. So you just do that, and now it is. So now it just looks as if the texture continues without any seams. And we have the start of a branch. Something like that. And you can kind of adjust the triangulation of it just to see it from different angles, see how that shape looks. I like it this way because it'll be more of a cylinder, it'll be more rounder this way, I think. Okay, so now create another tile. Doesn't really matter too much where it is because we're going to be dragging the vertices. Hold shift to drag it, to snap it. Okay. We can move that one over and have Y. Okay. And see how that looks. Okay. I like that. Now we have to align these UVs. I'm gonna need another tile. And there's different ways of managing your UVs. Organizing them or whatever. This is just a quick way that I'm doing it, just kind of building one tile at a time. But you could kind of draw more stuff if you wanted to, and then take tiles from it and then adjust it after you've drawn something. Okay. So I'm holding shift just to snap them. It makes it a lot easier to quickly connect stuff together. So as you can see, it's getting more of a shape to it. And since you're working with the texture at the same time, you can kind of plan everything more in a more finalized way. Even if the texture isn't completely, finished, it just helps you plan things. And then you can go back in and really kind of tidy up the texture and make it look really good. You could even resize the texture, I think. If you go in here and resize tile set, you could change resize the image and make it let's see, how do I do this? Pixels, okay, now the tiles are twice as big, the UVs are still the same, so you can kind of make it more higher resolution if you wanted to. Let's see, which tile is that? Okay, so let's choose this one, which is right there. And as you can see, it's pixels are more high resolution. But we could undo all that. Now it's back to normal. Okay, so I just showed that just so that you could see the flexibility of working with textures. So you could do everything like with low resolution to start with, and then change the texture size and refine it if you wanted something more high resolution, I guess. Although I prefer just doing everything low resolution. I like the style. I may have to make this a two-parter. What am I doing? Okay, so we have this, and we want to, and then we want to create another part of the texture, Okay, which part? Where is it? Okay, so you kind of see where it is as you're drawing. Kind of lets you let's keep going with it. Just trying to see it at different angles. Get an idea for the shape, how I might be able to shape it different ways. Also, you kind of click, move your cursor somewhere, and then if you press C, your camera will focus around it, so you could rotate the camera around that point. If you kind of want to reset where your camera is looking, basically. Because if you move it starts rotating around some different area in space. So you could kind of just click and press C, and it'll rotate around that location. Alright, so how do I want to continue with this? Just gotta try different things, see how it looks. Oops, actually flipped it. Okay. Kind of simulating the lighting condition. Why? Okay. If you had like lights and shadows, you might not add those to the texture, but I don't know, I like the look of just flat unshaded polygons, because it allows the colors of the pixels to kind of keep their value. So you get the look that you want from just painting it. Other things you could do, I guess you could kind of select parts and duplicate them. You could copy them, and then you could kind of paste them. If you wanted to kind of reuse parts without having to rebuild it. I just did that as an example, but it kind of lines up. So you can kind of do that, and maybe I'll keep it that way. And then you could just kind of, if you wanted to change the texture on that one, you could select a tile in the tile set and then go into draw mode. So there's your tile, and then you could hold Control, I think, and click. Nope, not that. Maybe it's Alt. Yeah, Alt. Alt click on the tile and it applies the texture to it. I think Alt right clicking samples the tile texture, so you can change it to whichever tile is there. That's holding Alt and right clicking. Holding Alt and left clicking applies the texture. So that's useful if you don't want to keep going back to the tile set and selecting your tiles from there. You can just select them from the scene. Oops. Maybe instead of that tile, I could create another tile, a texture or whatever. There we go. Oh, what happened? There we go. I don't know, just a way to kind of smooth it out, I guess. Maybe you might not want it so dark there. I don't know, this is all for demonstration purposes. I don't know, maybe that gives you an idea as to how to make more organic shapes instead of just square boxes and things. I could continue working on this if people want me to. So for now, I think I'm gonna leave this, upload it, see what people say, get some feedback maybe, and if there is any interest, I will continue making this video of this tree or whatever. But I think that's a good starting point for now. Let's see, what else is there I could go over just to show you some stuff. There's UV precision, there's the splitting. Oh yeah, the splitting. let's say we have a tile here and we want to split it. As you can see, the splitting is set at 8. So what that does is, what does that do? I think if it's set at 1, you could split it at every pixel. So it's per pixel. Set at 2, it's every 2 pixels. 3, 4, etc. Set at 8, it is like that. It was set at 8 before, so maybe something weird was happening because it was allowing me to split it at every 4 pixels. But anyways, that's what that setting does. So you can have a little more control over where you split a tile. Okay. In the painting, there's different settings. You could adjust the size of your brush. You could also hit the left and right bracket keys to kind of change the size of it. There we go. I don't know why that wasn't working before, but now it is. There's a lot of hotkeys that you could use, shortcuts or whatever, like Control, plus and minus, kind of zoom in, zoom out. A lot of hotkeys are keys that you would use in like Adobe Photoshop. I've tried to kind of include those, so like you could select and hold Shift and keep it proportion, or Control and snap to the grid. Select and add more to selection and stuff like that. Control D, deselect selection, stuff like that. There's a lasso tool. I don't know, everything that you might need for creating a texture. There's also a primary color, secondary color. So you could be drawing with this one, this color, and then you could hit X and it'll flip those. So now you're drawing with the secondary color, which now becomes the primary color, I guess. Or you could just click each one if you wanted to change them like that. Let's see here. You could actually, it might be more useful if I select more tiles. Now you can make a selection, hold Control, and cut it out. You can see the change in here where you've cut it out. You could resize it, and then apply it. Now you can see it there. You could undo it. You can make magic wand selections. Cut those out if you want. Resize them, whatever. So it has a pretty good tool set. Change continuous so that it applies the color to all of them, or just the area of color. there's an eraser tool. Yeah, there's a scene. You can make objects if you wanted. Like for instance, let's delete that. For instance, we wanted to create this whole thing into an object or a prefab. Just select all the faces and just right click, create object. Creates the object. You can rename it as a tree, and then it's its own object. See? So you could rotate it, you could move it around, you could undo all that. You could even undo creating the object if you wanted. See, now it's gone. And you could redo that, so now it's back. And you could right click, edit the object if you wanted to edit specific tiles like we were doing earlier, but now it's an object, so you have to kind of go into editing the object. You could duplicate an instance of it, remove an instance, deconstruct it, so return it into tiles, but also keeping the object, so you could still have objects or instances of whatever. So if we want to edit, like this yellow box is around it, showing that we're editing the object, and then we just edit like normal, basically, as we were doing before. So the good thing about that is if you have multiple instances, like for instance, I just hit enter to exit that mode, but we could select the tree and then go into a draw mode, and it'll draw it. See, instead of a tile, it draws the object, and it is based around wherever the origin point is. So let's go back into edit mode, and if we go here, there's an origin, and origin, as we can see, is this little diamond right here, and that's where our 3D crosshair was when we turned it into an object. So if we wanted to reposition that, we could move our crosshair where we want the origin to be. Say we want it right there, or maybe there, I guess. And then we just hit this button, and it'll move it to where our crosshair is. Okay. Now what that does is, if we are going to place it, now it is placed by where we expect it to be placed, I guess. So let's place one. Oh, I can't place one because I am in edit mode. So we need to exit edit mode by pressing enter. Maybe I have to be in edit mode actually to exit it. These are all things that can be fixed. Anyways, so now we are in draw. Oh no, now we're in draw mode. Okay, now we place the object. So now we have two instances in the scene of the same object, right? Okay. So now if we want to edit, say we want to edit this one, just right click, edit object. Now any changes we make to this object will be made to all the other instances. See? So that's useful. If you have multiple objects. If you rotate it, it'll all get edited in the same way. And you could undo all those changes. So it's pretty good. Could remove the instance, duplicate it. And if you want to deconstruct this selected object, it deconstructs it, but it keeps the instance there if you want to keep adding instances. Now this deconstructed objects is completely different from the object you deconstructed it from. So when you edit the deconstructed object, it won't change this other one. So you can kind of create one and then deconstruct it and then make it its own object if you wanted to. So create object. Now you have two different trees that are kind of similar, but they're different. And then you could place this one or this one. And also you could, when you place them, you could rotate them as well. Same, just like you would rotate a tile's texture. In this case, it rotates the prefab. When you look down, it looks down, and rotate that way, that way. Any orientation, you could place it. So that's cool. And if you wanted to place tiles, you can do that too. You just have to go back to the tile set and click a tile or two. And if you wanted to add more tiles to an object, you could edit the object and then, you know, add tiles, and it'll add them directly to the prefab. So see, edit, add some more tiles, gets added to all the instances. So that's pretty cool. And there we go. Delete that one. Remove instance. Remove instance. Although the instance is still here. We could, oh yeah, we could add to the scene, rename it, select all the instances, deselect all of them, hide show, delete object instance completely. I think that deletes them completely. And when you delete them completely, it'll remove all the instances in the scene. You could export instance data where they're located in the scene. Export, that's experimental right now. That's not in it. Export the object, or the object to an OBJ format. Export to prefab, which will be format that this program can import. So like you could export it and then import from this button into another scene that you're using or you're making. So if you want to reuse an object in one scene, you could import it into another scene. There's also layers, so you can put them into layers and organize things, and then, you know, hide show layer. So yeah, that's all. I guess that covers a lot of stuff for now. If you have more interest in this video, if you want to see me kind of continue building this tree, or maybe have another suggestion as to what I could create, or if something's unclear as to how you might be able to do something, or if you want me to explain something further, you know, just contact me somehow through the comments or email or the forum. And yeah, feel free to show me what you make with it as well. I'd be interested in seeing that, just to get an idea as to what people are trying to build with this program. It'll help me design this program better with that sort of feedback. So that's it for now. Hopefully the video hasn't been too long or too boring or whatever, because it's kind of difficult to kind of think and explain things at the same time while making something. And hopefully I've explained things that are useful, I guess. Okay, so that's it for now.